afternoon, everybody. Episode 104 of the Nooner. James, good to see you. Hey, is that my guy Burton? Mr. Brooks, nice to see you, brother. Appreciate you tuning in today for the Nooner. That's what this is. This is the Nooner. Every weekday, Monday through Friday, Pacific Standard Time, I'm coming in and I'm going to drop a noontime nugget about sales, business, and or life. I'm your host. My name is David Bradley. Tron Strom Live. Welcome. Thank you for your participation today and being here. Appreciate you. Nice to see you. Hey, so today we're going to be talking about how to keep negotiations alive. We'll probably wrap up with a pitch about this book. But so who am I? Let me just introduce myself to those of you that are joining us that are brand new. My name is David Bradley. The reason the Nooner exists is I want to give people something midday to, I call it a noontime nugget, right? So it's 12 o'clock noon. You've had lunch. At least it is at 12 o'clock on the West Coast. If you're over on the East, it's 3, right? I want to give you a piece of motivation. Motivation is fuel. You've had lunch for your body. I want to give you lunch for your brain, right? Something that you can use to take with you into the rest of your day. A little piece of motivation, a little piece of inspiration, just something that you can take with you and incorporate into your sales, your business, and or your life. So that's why we call it Noontime Nuggets, about sales, business, and life. What right do I have to be having that conversation with you? Well, a couple of things. Number one, sales and marketing manager with Grant Cardone. Been doing that 5 years, going in March. Grant's technology took me from barely surviving in sales to thriving in it. I got an opportunity to share that with other people in 2011, and when that popped up, man, I was all in. I've been studying Grant since March of 2003. Two other things about me. I'm the author of a book called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. I wrote that book after 15 years of trying to kick the habit. Could not quite figure it out, could not quit, but I did find a way to stop. There's a massive difference, and that's what my book is about. It's called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. You can get more on that if you hit the website stopdon'tquit.com. Third thing on me, founder of a hashtag called Rich Man's Gym. It's about home-based strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit. I don't believe you got to go to the gym to get in the best shape of your life. You know what I mean? You can do that right from the comfort of your own home. You can do it in the backyard. You can do it in the garage. You can do it at the park. Any place you can take a pair of Olympic rings and hang it from a big fat oak tree like I used to do, or anywhere you can lug a kettlebell, or you can take some dumbbells. That is your rich man's gym. I'm just going to tweet out that we're getting after it right now. So just hold on for me 1 second. How's everybody doing today? Bill, nice to see you. Welcome. My good buddy Jose Garza has joined us today. Thank you for that. We got a new face. I'm wondering where everybody's from. Okay. Here we go. Let's tweet this out. How to keep negotiations alive. Hashtag happening now. So, hey, if you stream, that hashtag has actually helped me get more people in. So not only do you blast out when you fire off the stream, but if you do a follow-up like what I'm doing right now and you hashtag happening now, you'll get more people on your stream. So there's just a stream tip. So today what we're talking about, so usually in the beginning of the week, I will cover Grant's strategy of the week that he does the week prior. Just sort of recap it, dissect it a little bit. Thank you guys for the favors and the restreams, by the way. And then the other thing I like to do earlier in the week is talk about a different trait of a great salesperson. Now, if you're subscribed to Cardone On Demand or Cardone University, you'll get full access to all of the 65 different traits of a great salesperson. But Grant also published these traits in the Huffington Post a couple years back. And so what I thought would be kind of cool is that every week, usually on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, I'll pop in, and as part of my Nooner, I will drop on you a different trait of a great salesperson. And so what today we're going to do is we're going to look at this trait, which is all on what can you do as a sales professional to keep negotiations alive. And just so we're clear, if anybody on the stream right now, or if you're watching the rebroadcast on YouTube after the fact, and you thought, well, I'm not a salesperson, so this doesn't apply to me. What I'd like to do right now is encourage you to have a shift and think and challenge that for you. Because at some point, if you want something, you're going to need to negotiate for it. This could be a pay raise, okay? This can be as simple as getting the wife to go to the action film versus the chick flick on Friday night. That is a negotiation, right? You guys that are married on the stream, you get this, right? That makes sense, right? You're negotiating, okay? You want to handle some business with the missus and she doesn't feel like it. That's negotiating, okay? You want to get a bank loan. You want to get a new house. Okay, maybe you've had some challenge credit in the past, but you're all good now, but that thing is looming on you and you still need the loan. Small business loan, right? My guy Burton Brooks, he's on the stream today. Anybody that find him, he restreamed me a few minutes ago. Follow this guy, number one. Number two, if you need help getting money, he's the guy. I'm totally going to blank on what you call your company, but I love the title of it. So would you put it down there for me so I can tell everybody about it? Thank you. So how do you keep negotiations alive? If you want, right, your entire life depends on your ability to sell. That's selling you, that's selling your product, that's selling your service, it's selling your company, right? You have to be able to do this. No matter what industry you're on, and I don't care what your business card says or your name tag, if it says customer service rep, just cross it out and I want you to write in salesperson, okay? So how do you keep these negotiations alive, okay? So Grant's trait, the great salespeople are like magicians, keeping negotiations alive when others would let them die. Okay, so I'll say that again. The great salespeople are like magicians, keeping negotiations alive when others would let them die. Okay, so the point of this is that means that the ability to negotiate is a skill. And they've got it done. They've got that skill. The great salespeople, the skill set is so dialed in that when they do it, people are like, this guy's a magician. So who can you think of outside of the sales and business world who is so great at what they do that you think the guy's a magician? How many guitar players have an urban legend about selling their soul to the devil? All the way back to Robert Johnson at the crossroads. To be good, to be great. The reality is these greats practice harder than anyone else. Greatness is a skill. Great at anything is a skill. Okay? It's something that you have to train. So, the skill of keeping a negotiation alive, keeping it going, keeping it fresh, keeping it lively, keeping it positive, and not getting all weird, those are things you can work on. Those are things you can practice and drill and rehearse, okay? And the first step in that is the number one rule of selling, which you will also learn in Sell or Be Sold. So if you haven't read that book, you want to read that book. If you're catching this on YouTube, I'm going to post a link in the comments or in the description so you can go get a copy of that. But you can also go to sellerbesold.info and get more information on that book. But the number one rule of selling is to always, always, always agree. Not just always agree, but that's 3 times always. Always, always, always agree with your buyer. And you need to stay in agreement with them, because the moment you're in disagreement, you lose your perception of reality to them. Nobody likes to be disagreed with. Nobody likes to be called wrong. So you're like, hey man, I'm with you. Totally understand where you're coming from right now. I get it. I'm on your side. You got to be able to do that, okay? So you also, as a great salesperson, you need to make sure that the deal works for everybody, that it's a win-win situation. So we spend a lot of time on the Nooners talking about Grant Cardone because that's who I work with. But if you think about, if you haven't read this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, check it out, because Stephen Covey spends a lot of time talking about win-win. Now that book is not titled The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Salespeople. It's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay? Meaning you got to make sure that when the deal is done, both sides feel good about it. You feel good about it, and your client feels good about it. Not your customer. Okay? The liquor store, they have customers. They have people that come in, they buy stuff, they leave. They come in, they buy stuff, they leave. A client has a higher level of value. Does that make sense? So don't think of people as customers. Treat them like clients. Another lesson from Seller Be Sold is to treat a buyer like a millionaire. Okay? So when you're in this win-win, you need to stay in a positive communication cycle with them, and that starts with agreement. You also need to be able to stay present in this moment here so that you're with them. You're not thinking about the next thing you should say. But you need to be here with your client in this moment, while keeping your one eye on the future, meaning moving towards the deal, right? So that's why a sales process is very, very vital. That's why you need to look at, there's some basic steps in a selling cycle. Number one, I need to greet the person, introduce myself, right? Next thing I need to do is find out, why are we having this conversation? What's important to you as a buyer? Does my product or service match that? And then custom tailor a presentation so that you know what I have to offer. Next thing I need to do is enter into some negotiations with you, have a discussion about the money, okay? And then I need to close the transaction. Then I need to support the transaction with follow-up. Close or no close, you need to follow up your client. So you need to stay, when I say keep one eye on the future, that means where am I at in the deal and how am I getting to the next step. The purpose of a step in a sales cycle is to get to the next one, not to close the deal unless you're at that step. Follow? So can you keep it light and fluid? Can you keep it moving towards the end result, the win-win that you're looking for? Okay, so you got to be able to keep it positive, Grant says. You got to be able to keep it uptone. You got to keep it light, and you got to keep it fluid. Okay, and again, what that comes back to is practice. So how do you do that, right? So how do you keep the negotiation alive? How do you stay in this thing and see it through to the end? Is number one, commit. Okay, I'm actually going to write that down. 3 steps, 2 steps. See, this may become the title on YouTube. 2 steps to keep negotiations alive. Okay? Versus how. Which do you guys like better? Do you like how to keep negotiations alive as a title, or do you like 2 steps to keep negotiations alive? Let me know. Tweet it out to me, at David R. Bradley. So the first thing you got to do is you got to commit. Okay, so that's number 1. Got to commit. And what does that mean? 100% committed, 110% all in. I'm committed, whatever it takes. Because I'm sold on me, I'm sold on the product, and I'm sold on the service. Bill, you put 3 blogs on Medium about Seller Be Sold. Send me the links to those, buddy. Send them out to david@grantcardone.com. Send me the 3 links. Number 1, I want to read them. Number 2, I want to tweet them out for you. Where am I at? Commitment. Commit to the client. Commit to helping them. You haven't served them until they've got your product. Make sense? Think about that for a second. You truly haven't helped them until they're using your product. Just because if I sold a Bowflex, I would never sell a Bowflex. So what do I sell? Okay, if I sell Russian kettlebells, if that's my job, okay, I haven't helped my client until he's using my kettlebells. Get it? I sell Cardone on demand and Cardone University. Somebody calls up and wants information on that. I haven't done my job until they're using it. So you got to commit to them. Then you got to practice, you got to drill, you got to role play, and you got to rehearse, and you want a full arsenal of closing material so that whatever pops up, you're there. Okay? That's what this book is all about. There's 124 different ways in here to close a deal. If you can't find 10 closes that you can bring into your arsenal, I don't know how to finish that sentence, because if you can't, maybe you have to. That's why you buy the book. So you can pull out 10 that you can plug into any situation and apply to anything you do in life when you're closing the transaction. That's the movie. Remember we were talking about that earlier. right? That's the sixth time, right? It's whatever transaction you're trying to close. It's the bank loan, it's the car loan, the small business loan. You got to have ammunition to be able to stay in it. That's how you stay light and fluid, man, so you can bounce around. James likes the first one, how to keep negotiations alive. Okay, thank you for the feedback on that. So here's what I want to challenge you to do, and I was alluding to it earlier. Okay, whether it's this book that you get, whether it's you logging into Cardone On Demand or Cardone University and picking 10, whether it's you use our Close the Sale app, which you can get, whatever it is that you're trying, whatever format you're accessing Grant's material, I want you to find 10 closes. But before you find the 10, what I want you to come up with is what is the one objection that if you could handle consistently every time, every situation, it would have a dramatic and immediate impact on your income. I'll give you an example. When I first got into selling, I was selling automobiles, and I was selling Acura, Highline product, and there was an objection that tripped me up every single time. Love the car, price makes sense, I'm going to go talk to my wife, or I'm going to go talk to my husband. You guys hear that, salespeople? Let me talk to so-and-so. It doesn't have to be a husband or wife. It could be CFO, CEO, financial planner. It doesn't matter who it is. But let me go talk to somebody else before I make a decision. Now, when people said, let me talk to my wife, it made perfect sense to me because I had just gotten married, and I thought, well, shit, man, I don't know if I'd drop like 40 grand without like running that by her first because, man, I don't... Right? So just like it made sense to me, But what if an objection is not like really what's real? What if they're saying that to cover up something else? What if the wife already knows they're there and there's something that's not right in the deal that he's not comfortable sharing with me? So instead of saying payments are too high, or the reality is, Dave, I don't have that kind of down payment, or you're not giving me enough for my trade, I got a better deal down the street, or whatever the objection, the real issue is, he's not going to tell me for some reason. But if I don't know what it is, I can't fix it, I can't help him. So once I've figured out how to solve the problem with, I need to talk to my wife, it dramatically impacted my production. I probably picked up another 4 or 5 deals every single month just from understanding how to handle that correctly and then stay in the negotiations, how to keep the negotiation alive so I could actually get to a place to where I could close, so I could get to a place to where he's now taking my product home and enjoying it. So if that's something that made sense to you, if you're like, man, I'm struggling with that, or here's what I'm struggling with, grab this book, pick 10 ways to handle it. There's 10 in here, I promise you. Find 10 closes that you could use to handle the objection that you've just identified as the number one thing in your way right now that's preventing you from picking up another 4 or 5 deals a month. What would an extra 4 or 5 deals a month be worth for you as a salesman? Think about that. Do the math. Okay? And if you can't find a solution in here or one of our online programs, what I want you to do is call me up. And I'm going to work with you to figure it out because I'm committed. So here's my number, 310-777-0352. You can email me, david@grantcardone.com. If you're late coming into this thing and you're like, shit, man, it sounded like that was a good one, I want to see it from the beginning, roll over to youtube.com/Cardone Solutions. There's a playlist up there called The Nooner. There's 103 episodes that you can play catch up with. What'd you guys hear today that you liked? This was a good one for me. I felt good about it. So tomorrow I will not be around because I've got business with clients in 2 hours away. I'm going to be doing some sales meetings and some training with a dealership I work with. Grant is live on Periscope. I know he had Gary V in the office earlier. So if that means you're going to miss the rest of the Nooner, get the rerun over on youtube.com/Cardone Solutions. I'll be back on Friday. Friday's going to be an open floor. I don't know what I'm talking about yet, but I will by Friday. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Appreciate you. Good to see you, Bert. And have a great rest of the week. And remember, your greatness, don't fight it, and be great, because nothing else pays. At least not much. See you guys on Friday.